Hi, my name is Anisha Zana binti Ahmad Shamsul. So today I would like to present about the total expenditure versus total activity performed by a company. The purpose of this study is to determine the operating expenses incurred by a public organization for all activity carried out by a company. Operating expenses are crucial since they can assist in determining the company cost efficiency. It emphasizes how much a firm has to spend in order to make money, which is the purpose of business. If a business has a larger operational expenses than its competitor, it shows that they are less efficient at generating those sales. Some examples of operating costs include rent, transportation, utilities, office supplies, services and repair, property taxes, and others. These costs are necessary for a business to keep running smoothly and making money. By looking at a ledger for costs that affect productions or service costs directly, one can quickly find out what the company's operational costs are. The data set shows that there are some difference between the total expenditure and activity performed by the public company to maintain the operating process. Firstly, basic Excel functions are used to figure out on how much money was spent and how many things are done. This table shows one of the company operating expenses from February to June. The minimum expenditure is 280 ringgit, while the maximum expenditure is 248,495 ringgit and 61 cents. According to the data, the company spent a total of 1,868,129 ringgit and 85 cents on 125 activities, averaging 14,945 ringgit and 4 cents per activity. However, 5 activities had exceeded the predetermined budget by more than 50,000. The total number of approved maintenance operation is 32 out of a total of 47.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Marina Razak. So let's proceed with the data analysis. But before that, I would like to explain further for figure 2, which is the figure 2 shows our pivot table that identify the descriptions and total amount expenses and also total activities by each descriptions. So here, from the pivot table, we generate the descriptive statistical methods from data analysis. So we can see the central tendency. For the mean of amount of expenses per descriptions was 311,354.98, while the mean for count of activity by each descriptions was 20.83. So it is valid and reliable generic descriptive statistics were applied. And the result for standard deviations, the count of activity are 117,112 and 0.80 and 14.68 respectively. So here you can see from the table, from the figure 3, also the median for the count and the median for the expenses is 272,745.59 ringgit, while the median for count of activity is 19 activity only. So there is no mode in the data set since the descriptions is only count for 6 times only. Next, we conclude the total expenditure for the whole year is 1,868,129.85, and for covering 1 to 5 of activities throughout the years. Okay, I would like to explain the transactions made for 1.8 million is covered 1 to 5 activities, and then the range between all of the expenses by descriptions is 600,000 19 885.49, while the range for activity per description is 41 only. As we all know that range is the total of the differences between the maximum of expenses or maximum of activity and the minimum of activity and minimum of expenses. Next, we proceed with the figure 4 and 5, which is to measure the symmetrical of data. We use some amount of expenses data and generate a table which is to identify the skewness of the data. So from the above chart, figure 4, it shows that the skewness of the data for sum of amount expenses by descriptions is 0.18, which is relatively symmetry, and it is positively skewed distributions. So why positively skewed? It is because the graph chart is like move to the right our right hand, and then the skewness for count of activities graph, we can see that the skewness is 1.24, is more than 1, meaning that it is a high degree of skewness, and the data also have a positively skewed distributions. Okay, so far, how far the total expenditure is related with the total activity done by the company. So from the page 3, so we conclude the sum of amount expenses versus total of activities and come up with the line graph, which is the orange line graph is the sum of amount expenses within the company throughout the year, and the blue line is the total of activities that performed by the company. Okay, from the graph line, we can see that the total sum amount of expenses is highly in total expenditure for sum of count of activities. So here, based on the figure 6, we can see that the maintenance have a higher values of activities is parallel with the sum of amounts expenses that made by the descriptions of maintenance. So the total value of expenses is 656,735.949 for total out 47 activities for maintenance only. So the second highest expenditure is we can see that from the line chart, orange line chart, is various expenses, which is the value is 588,380.19 cent only. So they come up with the 25 activities for various expenses. So next, the lowest activities is either rental and utilities, which is both is 6 activities and 9 activities respectively. So the total expenses also 36,850 only, and the other one for rental is 14,678 only. And then this causes that the hypothesis to be accepted, because the higher of expenditure allocations, the more activities the company will undertake to operate the company as usual. So this will explain the small allocation for a small expenditure results in expenditure resulting for a small activity. So we also come up with the pie chart for some amount expenses and the relationship between count of activities. So here from the pie chart, we can see that the only 5% of activity for rental use the amount of 40,673 ringgit only, and it shows that the small value of amount may be results in a small percentage as well. So it revealed that there's parallel relationship between the total expenses and the total activity performed by the company. So we can see that not only with that kind of rental, so we can see that utilities only 7% and come up with the 36,850 ringgit only for their expenditure. And we can look at the various expenses, the second highest, which is 20% of activities using the value of 588,380 ringgit 0.19. So the relationship between both total expenditure and the total activity is a parallel. So the conclusion is the more transaction expenses on the descriptions of operating costs, the more activities have been done have been performed because of the cost incurred by the company. It helps the company to run the business as usual, or the operation smoothly, as all direct indirect costs have to pay on time. So it also helps management to know the real needs of the company to stay in the business by analyzing the total expenditure, the total of activity come out with the companies all over the years. So it means that the cost of the operational cost within the company is very crucial to understand, to analyze and identify, which continue with the productivity of an organizations. So that's all from me, and thank you.